Second hunt, second deer, second doe. So now I'm in a tree stand and I heard a weird noise, and it didn't sound like a deer, but it didn't sound like any other animal. And I just blew it off and didn't even look to see what it was. A little bit later, I hear another noise. It didn't sound like a grunt, but it sounded more like a grunt than anything else. And I thought, well, they're back there far enough. It's early enough in the year. There's enough vegetation that if I turn right now and look, they're not going to see me turn. So I turn and look, and there's deer. There's at least 2. There might have been 3. There might have been 4. I'm not sure. And they're coming in. I can't believe it. So I'm able to get everything in position. I'm able to duck down behind the crossbow so that they don't see my face. But they're blowing, they're alerting, and they're really hesitant. The one deer comes in like twice and turns around. But eventually the one comes in, even though it's looking at me a lot, and it's broadside. It turns towards me just a little bit, and it's moving just a little bit when I shoot. And I wasn't totally happy with my shot, but it took off to the left, and it went into the neighbor's tall grass. Some of it's like 8 feet tall. And I thought I heard some stomping, and I didn't know what was going on. And I saw one of the other deer go up around behind it, and then from where I thought that deer was, I saw a deer take off. Well, it turned out that the one that took off was the one that went up. And I went back to the house, and I'm glad that I was zoomed out, because 13 seconds after I shot, I could see that deer fall down and flop. So I went back to track it. It only ran out the main path a little bit, and it turned right, and it was an amazing blood trail. I did lose blood for a little while because the deer had turned. So I was in a spot, and I'm like looking to my right, looking straight, looking left. I can't find any more blood. And I like to not take another step until I find more blood. So I'm not losing where I'm going, and I'm not stepping on blood. So I ended up turning sharp back to my left, and I found blood, but I thought, man, that's the way I came in from. So I was like, well, I'm going to do something. I'm going to follow this backwards a little bit and just make sure this is where I came in. So I go backwards, big spot of blood here, big spot of blood here, big spot of blood here, and then there's the freaking deer. It kind of spooked me a little bit. So for the rest of the season, I hope to get a buck, and then I can concentrate more on hunting and filming with my dad, friends, wife, and stepson, and it's backyardbroadheads.com for multifunction Ravin crossbow accessories. All right, I'm going out tonight to Mark's tree stand, and I'm going to shoot the first doe I see, and probably the first legal buck I see, if I see anything.
All right, headed up the tree stand with 3 points of contact at all times. You have 2 hands and 2 feet. You want 3 points of contact. At a bare minimum, you want to clip in like I am right now, but the best thing is to be hooked into a rope from the ground during your whole hunt and then back down to the ground. So I got up here, looking around for a little bit, then I'm going to have to get the crossbow ready. So we have the cranking, and you can see the 4-in-1 light there rests nicely on my knee. Loading, and then this new ghillie mask from Amazon, linked in the description below. It actually does add some warmth for your face also. So I heard those deer, turned quickly and looked, because we had a lot of green, as you can see, to hide my movement, and they were alerting, as you will see, a lot, and they came in several times and turned back around, but finally the one did come in far enough for a nice, mostly broadside shot. And that deer reacted as you want. You know, you get either a mule kick or just totally freaking out running. You want to see that thing run out of sight or run and fall.
So I took a shot at that doe. In the scope, it looked like the hit was a little bit back. On the camera, it looked like the hit was a little bit back, but I'm going to go up to the house, watch it on the big screen, and hopefully see something good.
All right, you will hear the deer alerting. And that's only about half of the alerts that they did before we actually see some movement here. Very strange for all that alerting deer being this cautious, deer stomping, deer turning around more than once to actually still come through. And a big part of why this worked for me is because my face was not moving and my face was already ducked down behind the crossbow, so there was no face for them to look at. This deer did not get any chance to move from the sound of the crossbow or arrow. There's no chance of ducking this stream because this was, I forget if it was maybe 20 or 17 yards. Crossbow shooting around 415 or 20 feet per second. And 13 seconds later, on the upper left here, you're going to see it fall and flop. There it is there, and there, and there.
All right, so I watched the video on the computer screen and it looked like after 13 seconds that deer flopped a few times and fell down on the ground. So I'm pretty confident it's down. Using a 4-blade broadhead, so I'm hoping for a good blood trail. Let's go check it out. So I did end up getting that deer. It went forward on that path it was on for about maybe 15 feet. Then it turned right 90 degrees and the blood trail was awesome. It was just consistent, large patches. There was no section where that deer went where it didn't leave blood on the ground, and it was running the entire time. And it was like, you know, like nice wide strips of blood on the ground. And I did hit that one point where I lost blood, but it was only because the deer turned around. So eventually I turned around, tracked it about 3 steps, and it was just laying there dead. That was the Swat 4-blade, no strap broadhead, and it is backyardbroadheads.com to check out the stuff I make for the Ravin crossbows, and also coming out soon with one for the Excalibur Hybrid X.